2024, in the truest sense of the word, was transformational for Challenger Energy. We've come through several years of pretty hard grind and picked up some assets in Uruguay at the start of the pandemic, have been working them technically, had been promising everybody that we were going to bring in a farm-in partner to take those blocks forward. And 2024 was when all of that work came to fruition.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Eytan Uliel. He is the CEO of Challenger Energy Group. And Eytan, it's good to see you again. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, so the company put out, in essence, a letter to your shareholders. So let everyone know where the company's at and really what's ahead. And so I thought it'd be a great opportunity to get, in your words, a little bit about that particular letter and what were you trying to convey to shareholders?
So, yes, last week we put out our annual report, which included a fairly detailed, letter, if you like, from me to the shareholders. I mean, there's two parts to this. There's what has been and what is coming. The what has been 2024, in the truest sense of the word, was transformational for Challenger Energy. We've come through several years of pretty hard grind and picked up some assets in Uruguay at the start of the pandemic, have been working them technically, had been promising everybody that we were going to bring in a farm-in partner to take those blocks forward. And 2024 was when all of that work came to fruition. At the beginning of 2024, we announced a farm-in agreement with Chevron that took about 8-9 months to reach financial close, but that happened in November of 2024. So in one go, as a consequence of the farm-in with Chevron, we've funded the work program on one of our assets. We've funded the business. We've brought in one of the world's great energy companies as a partner for that project. We've validated everything we've said about the project and about our company, that we do what we've promised we're going to do. And we've really set the stage for 2025 and beyond. So as I say, truly transformational financially, operationally, technically. It was a great year for us.
Yeah, and I'll ask you about what's ahead in a second, but just on that, you mentioned you bring in a company like that, obviously a significant name. It shows the backing of what you're trying to do and what you've been saying all along. Did you see an instant surge from people right away wanting to sort of get more news about what the company was up to as soon as that deal happened?
Oh, yes. And in North America in particular, I mean, we're an
Yeah.
AIM-listed company in the UK, but really we saw a lot of interest starting to build from North American investors who obviously understand who Chevron is and understand oil activity in the Americas, as a consequence of which we did an OTC listing to make it even easier for North American investors to get in. But yeah, our fortunes have changed quite dramatically. I mean, in a very specific sense, our share price, it goes up and down every day and it goes through cycles. But on a pretty consistent basis, we've more than doubled over the course of the last year. But I think that's emblematic of the fact that the underlying foundations are so much stronger at the moment. We're fully cashed up. We have all of our work programs funded. We have absolutely no need to raise money anytime in the next several years, which is a very unique position for a small junior oil company to be in. And we have, a tier one partner committed to taking our block forward. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, we've seen a lot of interest and that's continued to build and hopefully we'll see more of it as we go.
All right, well, let's talk about ahead. Let's separate off, an area off one and area off three. Let's start with one. What are we seeing in the next 6 to 12 months there?
Well, there it's all about Chevron getting on with their work program. The commitment they made to us and the work program commitment is an accelerated 3D seismic acquisition. We've said before that we expect that that's going to kick off in the last quarter of this year. Everything's ready to go. The various companies operating in Uruguay, not just us and Chevron, but Shell, Apache, they're all waiting for the Uruguayan government to issue the final permits to the seismic vendors to get underway. That's a process. I wish I could tell people it'll resolve tomorrow or next week. It'll take a bit of time, but they're going through the process. And again, that's all public. They've been holding public consultations in Montevideo, dealing with all sorts of things. And we expect those permits will come in ample time to enable the seismic campaign to kick off before the end of the year. That then has a period of time for acquisition, for processing, for interpretation. But again, it all comes back to end of 2026. We'd like to see Chevron make a decision to proceed with drilling an initial exploration well. And again, to remind people, part of our deal with Chevron is we are fully carried in that exploration campaign. So we benefit from everything, but our 40% share is being paid for by Chevron, which is a great position to be in. All the benefit,
Absolutely.
none of the risk.
For sure. Area off three, promising area. I know you've talked in the past about your excitement around it. Tell me what's ahead for that.
Well, we are right in the very throes of our technical work program. All the seismic, historic 3D seismic has been reprocessed. It's now being interpreted. As we've said in the past, we're hoping to wrap that program of work up in the next several months. Thus far we're pretty encouraged by what we see, and that will all lead to a farm out process, which we will kick off in the next quarter. And thereafter, we hope to be able to secure a farming partner similar to the deal we did with Chevron, plus minus. But again, the idea is to find a high quality global major who'd come in and support that project going forward. And ideally, we'd like to see that completed by the end of this year, or at least a partner selected and announced by the end of the year. It could take a bit longer, but these are not big deals in the scheme of things. But we remain very encouraged by the asset itself. Our technical work is progressing very well and according to schedule. And so again, finish the technical work, start the farm out process, close that process. That's what people can expect there.
Okay. And lastly, why don't we just get a comment on the rest of the portfolio? I know your focus is obviously on Uruguay and what's going on there, but you do in the back of the side of your desk look at the other projects, I would imagine as well.
Well, I mean, we've announced an exit from Trinidad. We're waiting on some government approvals there, but pretty confident that that'll get sorted out in the near term. And then we'll be out of Trinidad, so we can focus entirely on Uruguay for the time being. We also have some assets in the Bahamas still. And there, as we've said, we're working to try and either get those renewed or see a monetization associated with them. But those are sort of, if you like, sideshows to the main game, which is the things we have going on in Uruguay.
Absolutely. Thanks for the update. Really good, exciting year ahead, and look forward to lots more chats with you about what's going on there. I know it's a busy area, so and thanks so much. Good to see you again.
Wonderful. Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, there's Eytan Uliel. He is the CEO of Challenger Energy Group.